You are in Malta, right? You're currently shooting a new movie in Malta?
That is correct. I'm currently shooting for a new movie in Malta, and all these piercings that you see, the ear piercing, nose piercing, this is all for the new character that I'm playing.
How is it going? Could you give us some extra details?
Yeah, the name of the film is Thugs of Hindustan. Thugs means, robbers or bandits. So Thugs of Hindustan, and this film is set in 1790. It is a period film when the British had come into India. The East India Company had come into India, and they were slowly taking over each kingdom of India. They were slowly taking over the whole country. So this film is set in that background. And we have just started shooting 2 weeks ago, and the shooting is going quite well. It's a action adventure film. It's a big action adventure film.
So it's an action movie, right? And I heard that you will cooperate with Mr. Bachchan for the first time, right?
That is correct. I'm acting for the first time with Mr. Bachchan, and I've always been a huge fan of Mr. Bachchan. I think he's a wonderful actor. He's a great star, and it's a great opportunity for me to get this chance to work with him.
I honestly can't wait to see that, From what I'm seeing on the screen now, you looks very good. Your body looks very great. So I'm guessing one point that this time you don't need to transform your shape, right?
No, this time in the whole movie, I will have just one shape.
Okay.
No transformation, yeah.
Okay. We were so surprised that, in the Dango, you attained a weight of 100 kilograms, right? And then you lost all the weight in a short time. It's crazy, How did you make it? Did you use liposuction?
No, I wish I could have, but no, I did not use liposuction. I had to follow a very strict diet, and I had put on, I was 97 kilos and 38% body fat. So my stomach was coming till here. And but throughout that, I was training very hard. Even though I was putting on weight, I was continuing my training because I knew that when I would lose the weight, I would need the muscles underneath. So you could not see the muscles when I was fat because there was so much of fat around the muscles. So I had to, in the 5 months, I had to just reduce my body fat percentage. So from 38% body fat, I came down to 9%. And this was through a very strict diet and a lot of cardio and a lot of weight training.
Weight loss is a topic that never becomes out of date. So I know that you have been asked this question thousands of times, but we do want to know more details, like your diet. You just mentioned that. Well, when you were trying to lose your weight, how many meals did you have every day, and what did you eat and drink?
Well, I used to have 8 meals a day. 8 meals.
8 meals?
And 8 meals, yeah. And I was following a diet of a calorie deficit diet. And then I used to train weight training, and I would do cardio. So I would lose another 1,000 calories because of that. So in a day, I would burn close to 3,000 calories in a day.
I see.
And I would eat 1,800 calories.
Ah, okay.
So I had a deficit of 1,200 calories every day. Now, if you to lose one pound of fat, you have to have a deficit of 3,500 calories. So in one day, I had a deficit of around 1,000 calories or 1,200 calories. So in 2 days, I would have a deficit of 2,500 calories. So in 3 days, I was losing 1 pound. So in 1 week, I was losing 2 pounds of fat. Yeah.
Wow.
So I had calculated that very carefully, that I had 5 months to lose that. 5 months is 20 weeks.
What a precise.
So in that, yeah.
Precise man.
So in that 20 weeks, in the 20 weeks, I had to lose, and the fat percentage had to come down to 9%. So it was, I had a nutritionist with me who was helping me, and my trainers were helping me. But it was very important for me to stick to it 100%. And in the beginning, I must confess that in the beginning, I was very nervous because I was so fat. And when I started the weight loss, after 1 week, you know, you don't see the change so fast. So after 1 week, I was 1 week, 2 weeks, I was very disheartened. I was feeling that it was not going to happen. I will never reach where I want to reach. So I used to go through those thoughts, and I used to get depressed. But I never stopped. I continued doing it every day. You know, you have to take it one day at a time. One day at a time. You have to keep doing it, and you have to have the faith that it will start working.
I see. So, generally speaking, because you just gave us some detailed numbers, but it's quite difficult to remember. But can I say that, well, ice cream, chocolate, and Coca-Cola, totally forbidden,
No.
right?
Yeah, totally. So I would not have any sugar, no sugar, nothing with sugar in it, and no deep fried food.
Okay.
So no chocolates, no sweet things. But I would have a lot of healthy, fresh food, vegetables, rice, fish, chicken, so all fresh food. And it was basically, the concept is that you are on a deficit calorie. Every week, you're on a deficit. Every day, you're on a deficit calorie. You're burning more and you're eating less. So the difference is what makes your body burn the fat that is already there in the body.
Thank you for the information. I think I would copy your way after this program, because my friends always remind me to keep fit. Well, I bet that if you run,
fine.
I bet that if you run a gym house or a weight loss center, you will definitely succeed, because your personal shape transformation is the best. Is best advertisement, I think. Well, let's come back to the movie. I heard that when you read the script for Dango, you immediately made up your mind to take the role. Right? Why?
Yeah. Well, I really loved the script. When I was listening to the story, I was so moved by the character of the father and the daughters, and the relationship between the father and daughters. And it was also very funny. The story was, it was making me laugh. It was making me cry. It was very inspirational, So I was very moved when I heard the script for the first time. And I just loved it, so I wanted to do it,
But it must be a big challenge, because, there are so many technical wrestling moves. And as I know that you never actually played this sport before Dango. So the question is, did you have some stunt double or use some computer-generated effects?
No, we did not use computer-generated effects, and we did not even use a stunt double. For me and for the two girls, in fact, all the four girls, the smaller two girls and the older two girls, all five of us, we learned wrestling for 1 year. And totally, we were in training for 1.5 years, 8 months before the shooting and 8 months while we were shooting the film. So we had the national coach of India, wrestling coach of India. He was with us for 1.5 years. And he trained us in wrestling. So we went through the whole routine of starting from scratch, how to learn wrestling. And as time passed, we started getting better and better, because we knew that we are making a film on wrestling, so we have to get the wrestling perfectly right. And so that is why we had a wrestling coach with us, who was one of the best coaches in India. And he was the person who really taught us wrestling. So we did not use any body doubles. Even the girls, they did not use any body doubles. So all the shots that you see in the film, they're all the real actors.
We do appreciate your professional working style. Actually, I remember that you once said that you want to change the society through films. That's what I quote from the media reports. So in terms of Dango, which specific issue did you focus on? It's gender inequality or something else?
Yes, Dangal really is a film which is focusing on the importance of the girl child, gender equality, how sometimes as a society we tend to treat our girl child differently as our boy child. So the film really is trying to tell us, the story is trying to tell us that there is no difference between a girl child and a boy child, and we must treat them the same way. We must give them the same facilities, the same encouragement. So that is the essence of what Dangal is trying to say. Yeah, I do believe that, you know, creative people can, if they so choose to, they can have a role to play in affecting minds, in affecting hearts. So I always felt that creative people have the ability to reach people's hearts and minds and their emotions. And through that, they can inspire people, they can instill good values in people, they can strengthen the moral fabric of society through the stories, through the characters, you know.
Yes, I just want to ask, further ask that, do you always integrate your social concerns and project your values and philosophies in each of your films?
Not in all my films, no. Essentially, I see myself as an entertainer. And my primary responsibility to my audience is to entertain them. If my audience wanted a lecture in sociology, they would have gone and joined a college. They have come to a theater, a cinema hall, they have bought a ticket because they want to be entertained. So I know that my primary responsibility is to entertain the audience. So when I'm selecting a film, I'm actually only seeing if I personally get affected by the story. Does it engage me? Does it entertain me? Entertain, I'm using the word a little loosely because sometimes you can entertain. People normally associate the word entertain with laughter or fun or something. But I can entertain you even with a very emotional story. So I would use the word engage. Is the story engaging me personally? If it is engaging me personally, then I want to do it. Sometimes it may have a social message in it. Sometimes it may not have a social message. So I don't select films only based on social messages. No, I select films based on my personal reaction to the story. And if it also has a social message, then that's good. You know, that's better. And because of the kind of person I am, I get attracted to certain kinds of scripts.
But in terms of Dango, this movie, it is definitely an inspiring film. But I mean, the character, your character, the father, he strongly encouraged his daughters to practice wrestling and even forced them to give up their free time. So as I know that this kind of tough love raised many disputes. Just want to ask you that, do you agree with this type of education? Did you educate your daughter that way?
No, I don't agree with this kind of education. I don't agree that you must force a child to do something. I believe in the philosophy of Three Idiots. If you have seen my earlier film, Three Idiots,
yes,
and I'm playing a character called Rancho in that, and Rancho believes that you should follow your heart, and your family should support you in following in your heart. So I believe in that philosophy. However, Dangal is a true story. It's a true story. There's a real man, Mahavir Phogat, and his daughters Geeta and Babita. So it's a true story. So when we were making that, we had to be accurate to what actually happened. And it is a fact that Mahavir Phogat was a very tough father. He was very tough on his daughters. He also loved them, no doubt. He also loved them. The other thing that we must also remember is that no matter how hard I try, I cannot force my child to become a champion.
yes,
I can force him to practice wrestling. I can force him to, give up other things, but I cannot force him to become a champion. That quality can only happen if that is there in the child. So there was something that Mahavir saw in his daughters. And when he started teaching them wrestling, initially they were hesitant. They did not like getting up early in the morning, working so hard, following a strict diet. They did not like all that. It is true. But after 1 year, they began enjoying it. And it is their inherent talent and their aptitude and their passion which made them champions. Nobody else can make you a champion. Only your own passion and your own love for what you're doing, only that can make you a champion. So in the case of Dangal, I think in the case of Mahavir Phogat, initially, yes, he was forcing them to do something. They were very small that time. But soon after that, they themselves got excited about it. And and they also took it forward.
I totally agree with you. So you were just acting for the movie. That's not your real style. But of course, we have noticed that rather than doubts, this movie has received much more recognition and appreciation in China. Douban, a professional Chinese movie critic website, rated this movie with an incredible score of 9.2 points. It's crazy, Wow. So did you predict such a big success in China? Or what do you think are the reasons?
Well, to be very honest, no, I did not predict this huge success that we have got in China. We did not predict that. We were making a film which we believed in. And when it was releasing in China, I had come to promote the film in China. And I had hoped that the Chinese people would also like the film. But I had not in my wildest dreams had I thought that it would become such a huge success. And it has been a very emotional journey for us. The China release of the film has been a very emotional journey for me and for the entire team. Because when the film released in China and the way the Chinese people reacted to the film, it really brought tears to eyes, because we used to read what is being written in the social media, and my friends in China, they would translate it for me and they would send it to me. And it was really moving to read the comments of the Chinese people. I think perhaps, the Indians and the Chinese emotionally are quite close. We feel the same things, we react to the same things. That is what I have felt, because when my film Three Idiots also released, even that connected very strongly with people in China, and PK also connected very strongly with people in China. So what I understand is that the things that I'm reacting to is the same things that the Chinese people are reacting to. So I think there is a lot of similarity in our emotional key between the Chinese and the Indian people. And it has been such an amazing journey for us. The success it has got in China, and the love that the film has got in China has really touched our hearts, and we are so happy. We are so happy.
Thank you. But I'm not sure whether you know this fact that when we Chinese talk about Indian movies, many would think of all the beautiful singing and dancing. The question is for you, that how would you define Indian movies? Do you think what's the most important difference between Indian movies and those from other countries?
Well, I think the qualities, the one or two characteristics of Indian films which make it unique. One of them is that, yes, most of our films, I would not say all our films, but most of our films are musicals. So music and songs play a very important part of our storytelling. So I think music has been a very integral part of our lives, and it has become a very integral part of our pop culture. So that is why our movies are musicals. I think the second characteristic which is unique to Indian cinema, especially as compared to Hollywood, I would say, is that Indian cinema has a lot of hope. We believe in heroes. We believe in good things. And we have a certain sweep in our storytelling, which is slightly larger than life. I'm not saying for every film. I mean, Dangal is a very realistic film. But I'm saying, in general, the quality that Indian cinema has is that we are not cynical. I feel when I watch a lot of some films from Hollywood, their storytelling is quite cynical. The characters are grey, and it's nice. I'm not saying it's not nice. I think Hollywood makes great films. But in terms of the quality of Indian cinema, we still have a lot of innocence in our storytelling. We believe, we want to believe in heroes. We want to believe in the good things. And so it's a make-believe world where, where you can spend 3 hours lost in that world. I think that's the quality of Indian cinema. It gives you hope, and there's music.
Many people, many Chinese would think that the Indian movies are always very happy. If it's not merry singing and dancing, then it's maybe a beautiful romance. But based on my personal knowledge, India, just like China, is faced with many different kinds of serious social problems like corruption, and maybe the inadequate public health and poverty and gender inequality. So the question is for you: do you think that the Indian filmmakers should expose the dark sides with a more critical approach?
There are 2-3 things I feel about this. One is that I think a lot of Indian filmmakers are already doing that. And, from many decades, Indian filmmakers have been making films on various aspects of Indian society and some of the problems of Indian society. So a lot of films and a lot of filmmakers in India do pick upon social issues. The other thing I want to say about that is that when we pick on a social issue, it is also important, I personally feel, it's also important to give hope. So when we talk about a personal issue, we should be honest and truthful about what the situation is. But we should also not depress the audience. We should give the audience hope and show a way forward so that, so that the impact of the film or of the story is positive. And there is a positive change in society as a result of that. So that is what I feel. I would not say more filmmakers should make or less filmmakers should make films on social issues, because I personally feel that as a creative person, you must have the freedom to do what you want. If I want to make films which are totally make-believe world, they are not at all about social issues, then that's my choice as a filmmaker. I don't think we should tell filmmakers that, no, you must make films on social issues. We should not force anyone. It has to come from within. You must feel like making a story as a creative person.
I see.
So it should come naturally.
I think this topic is a bit heavy. So would you mind I ask you a more personal question?
Sure.
You were a tennis player when you were very young, and you even got the regional champion. But you quit tennis when you were 14 years old, and after 2 years, when you were 16, suddenly you appeared in a movie. So, it was really a big change. Movie and tennis are totally different. So I just want to know why. What happened? It's because of a certain movie you watched, or just because of a talent scout, or just because of a beautiful girl who loved watching movie?
Well, no, actually the way it happened was, yes, I used to play a lot of tennis when I was a kid, and I loved the game. But my parents, especially my father, he was not very happy that I was spending so much time playing tennis and I was not studying. I was not concentrating on my studies. My marks were very average in school. So one day he told me that you're playing too much tennis and from tomorrow you have to stop. So he stopped my tennis. So my tennis stopped, but my marks did not improve. And because I used to love sports, and I've always loved sports. But how I got into films is an interesting story. My school friend, his name is Aditya Bhattacharya. He is the son of a filmmaker, and he was wanting to make a short film in order to learn about filmmaking and as an experience. So he wanted to make a short film, and I was 16 at that time, and he requested me to help him. So I was not really, I had not really decided about being a part of the cinema world at that time. But because he was my friend, I helped him. And I was his actor, I was his production manager, I was his spot boy, I was his assistant director, because there were just two of us. So everything I had to do with him, and we made the film in 1 month. And that experience that I went through of making that film with him, of helping him to make that film, that is what made me realize that this is the world I want to be in. Because I really had a wonderful time. That 1 month was a very memorable time for me. The excitement of trying to create a story onto screen. And that entire experience is what made me realize that this is my world. This is where I want to be. I want to be part of storytelling. And that's when I realized that I want to be in the films. And then I also come from a film family. And my father is a filmmaker. My uncle is a filmmaker. Both of them have passed away now, but they were both filmmakers. And my uncle was one of the leading film directors of his time. So I was fortunate that I could see films being made around me as a child, as I was growing up. So I was not alien to the process. The process was something I had seen over the years. And I remember when I was a child, I was 7 or 8 years old, some writers and directors would come to meet my father at home, and they would pitch him stories. They would tell him, narrate the script to him. So as a kid, I would love to listen to stories. And I never knew that one day I would be in the films, but I would sit in the corner and I would listen to stories. So I must have heard hundreds of stories, and so finally, when I realized that this is the world I want to be in, I decided that I want to learn it properly. And I worked under my uncle as an assistant director for 4 years. So when I was 18, I joined him as an assistant director. Mm-hmm. And I worked with him as an assistant director. Mm-hmm. And after that, I became an actor.
You are one of the most successful and renowned movie actor in India now, currently. But do you have any idea or do you have any specific plan to explore Hollywood?
Not really, no. I don't have any plans to explore Hollywood. For me, the important thing is the story. And it doesn't matter where it comes from. So if I fall in love with the story and I want to do the film, it could be from India, it could be from Africa, it could be from China, it could be from America, it could be from anywhere. It's the story that is important to me. As a creative person, I get excited by stories. So that is what I'm attracted to, not where the film is being made. I mean, so Hollywood doesn't really fascinate me. And also, I personally feel I probably won't fit into it because I'm not an American, and most of the films that they would probably want to watch would be with American characters, and I'm not American, and I can't pretend to understand American emotions. And so I'm very happy where I am. I have a strong emotional relationship with my audience, which has been built over the last 25 years. And I really value that relationship that I have with my audience in India. And now that relationship has been taken further because I have now got a relationship with an audience in China, which I really value and I'm very grateful for. So I believe that I should do the kind of films that excite me. And I should allow whoever likes to watch it, I would like more and more people to watch my films, of course. But I don't want to specifically go to Hollywood and work over there. That does not excite me, no. I'm happy and excited about the work I'm already doing in India.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know that a few weeks ago you visited China, and I still remember that you once told Chinese media that you love Chinese kung fu film. Well, the question is, do you have any favorite Chinese actor or director that you want to cooperate? If you have the right to say, who you would want to cooperate with the most?
Actually, even back home in India, I never pre-decide who I want to work with. Mm-hmm. For me, the important thing has always been the story. Mm-hmm. So for me as a creative person, the story is a starting point. And once we have a story which we like and which we love, then we should make it honestly. So that means I don't pre-decide who I want to work with. The material decides who works on the film. The material decides even if I work in the film. So for me the material is the most important. And so therefore I don't know how to answer the question. There are a lot of talented people in China who I would love to work with. But it depends on the kind of material that we find, that who will I end up working with. It could be a new person also. It could be an entirely new person also. It could be a child, that if the story demands that there is a child in it. So it really depends on what the material demands. Mm-hmm. But yes, I am very keen to do a film in a co-production with China, because I'm most excited about the response that the Chinese audience have given to my work, and I really value that. And I want to see if we can find a story which is equally relevant to both Chinese and Indian audiences. A story which involves Chinese characters and Indian characters. So I'm on the lookout for that. I'm on the lookout for a story like that.
Yeah, we also hope that we can watch a movie that you can cooperate with someone we love and we are familiar with. Okay, yeah,
Yes,
in recent
yes.
years, a certain 小鲜肉 appeared in Chinese movie industry. They are basically very young and beautiful men and women, and they are very popular in markets. But they are not talented actors, but they get paid very, very, very well. So I just want to ask, does India have this as well? And if you were a director, would you consider using them?
Let me put it this way. The film world is a world where there is no logic. I often discuss with my friends that this is one of the few professions in which hard work and talent is not necessarily directly proportionate to your success. Which means that I may be very talented, I may be very hardworking, but I may not be successful. And on the other hand, there may be somebody else who's not very talented, who's not very hardworking, but that person is very successful. People love him.
Yes.
There is no logic. There is no logic to it. What is it that people connect with? What is it that an audience connects with? It's a very intangible thing. So even in India, you have a lot of people who may not be very talented, who may not be very hardworking. They may not be interested in what they're doing also. But they're very successful, and you can't explain that. As far as my choice goes, if I was to ever direct a film, or even as an actor, I would like to work with people who are talented. I personally feel that that's very important to me. I want the best in talent, for my film.
I see. Last night, a very famous Chinese director, Mr. Feng, I'm not sure whether you know him, he expressed a very controversial point. And when he was asked why there are so many garbage films in China, he said that it is because there is so much rubbish audience that there are so many garbage films. What do you think of this opinion?
As a creative person, when he said that, I can understand his emotion. I think that even in India, many times we see that some films have done very well. And they may not be films that we feel are very good films, but they have done very well. And there is an audience out there who has liked that film. So I personally feel that who am I to judge if a film has been loved by people? I may not like the film, but I cannot say it's not a good film. I can say I did not like it, but I cannot pass judgment on the film and say it's a bad film, because there are a lot of people who have liked it. So I can say I didn't like it. So that's how I approach it. I feel that there are all kinds of people with all kinds of tastes. And who am I to judge somebody's taste? If somebody likes a film which I don't like, good for him, But I can understand the emotion that the director has conveyed. Sometimes as a creative person, you do feel that why is this film doing so well? It's not such a good film, but it's being, it's frustrating sometimes because you want to do good work and ideally you want good work to be appreciated. Even if it is not yours, even if it is somebody else's, but you want good work to be appreciated. So that emotion I understand, but I personally feel that we should not be so judgmental.
I see. Understand.
Yeah.
Well, besides the movie, I think, so many Chinese audience are also strongly interested in the TV program, your TV program, the Choose a Lone Triumphs. As I know that it is a serious talk show focused on different kind of, social problems. So it's totally different from your movies. But you once emphasized that, for you, this talk show meant a lot more than all other movies. Why?
Yeah, well, there are many reasons for that. One is that this is real life. We're talking about real life. We're talking about some of the social issues that we face as a society in India. And I love my country. I love the people of my country. And I want things to improve. So for many years, you read the papers and you see something which you're not happy about. There are people who are underprivileged. There is poverty. There are problems. And I don't want to just sit and do nothing. So that show was an attempt on my part to try and contribute towards bettering our society. That was the attempt. I'm saying that was the attempt. And in the process of me doing this show, we did 24 topics. 24 episodes. In the process of me doing this, it was the most enriching experience for me, because me and my team would research each topic very thoroughly. We would research the topic from every point of view, from the personal point of view, from the social point of view, from the legal point of view, from the historical point of view. So my understanding about each of these issues really grew a lot. We read a lot of material on it. We met a lot of people in the field, people who had been working with that issue for 20, 30 years. So that was a very enriching experience for me. And the most important for me was that I could really connect on a very deep level with people from across the country. I met such amazing people in these, in this journey of 5 years that I was doing the show. 2 years of research and 3 years the show was on air. You meet people who have no money, they have no power, they have no, what we understand as normally but that person is standing up tall like a mountain, against the biggest forces. Where does the person get the courage from to do that? So I met some amazing people who were very inspirational to me. They really, I felt that as a person, as a human being, I learned so much and I grew so much. Mm-hmm. That is why that show is very important to me.
Mm-hmm. But as you mentioned that, a large part of this program seems to be questioning and challenging the Indian traditions. Well, when hosting this program, did you have to face abuse and protests from your opponents, and how did you deal with that?
Well, I'm really happy to say that 99.99% people of the country love the show.
Okay.
99.99. Now, in each problem, there are some people who benefit from the problem. Those people don't like me doing the show.
Yes.
They want the problem to remain because they benefit from the problem. They don't want the problem to be solved. So very minuscule people did, try to oppose me. But the large majority of the country loved the show. In fact, every time, wherever I go, people keep asking me, when are you again starting the show? When are you again starting the show? We want your show to come back. So it was such an overwhelmingly positive response that we had. And what was very important was that these are topics which are very controversial topics. Now, if I approach it with anger, people will not receive it well. I don't want to accuse anybody. I want to reason. I want to appeal to people's hearts. I want to appeal to their emotions. I want to reason with them. And I want to change their hearts. I don't want to prove them wrong. I'm not interested in proving anybody wrong. I'm interested in things getting better for us as a society. So we did the show with a lot of love. And I think that is why the show was so well received.
But, seriously, it seems to me that you are more of a key opinion leader than a film actor. So, you keep trying to change the society, to improve the society. So the question, what's your identity? I mean, if you could only assume one identity, film actor or opinion leader, which one do you prefer?
Well, I think the identity that I would like to be known as is a sensitive human being. And that sensitive human being happens to be in the profession of communication and entertainment. And I think it's a great opportunity for me to be in this world of storytelling, because through my stories, I can touch people's hearts. So I see myself as a sensitive human being. That's what I see myself as.